everyone, and we are live. Welcome to Connections Unplugged. I'm your girl, Krissa Skodra, and this is my own personal podcast series where every week I'm introducing you to one of my LinkedIn connections, one story, one person at a time. I want to get to know them on a personal and professional level, and you have a chance to eavesdrop into our conversation and get to know them as well. So stay tuned, 30 minutes of an unscripted discussion with today's guest. This show is powered by OneStream Live, a great company from Espoo, where I'm based at Espoo, Finland, the innovation hub of Finland. And what does OneStream Live does is to enable me to do many things, but either completely go live and multi-stream to more than 45 destination social media, as well as websites, or pre-record content and then stream it as live. So lots of great things. Check out more at onestream.live. Today, my guest is waiting backstage. Let me bring her here. I have the great pleasure to have Petra Morbin. Hi, Petra.
Hello, nice to see you. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much. You are also based in Espoo. Are you originally born in Espoo? And let me tell you what you write there in your LinkedIn for the people who want to Google and find you and search you. Petra Morbin, Learning Leadership Development MBA. But you're more than that. And so let's jump straight in. But I want to tell you first and ask you first, and I want to hear from you about where you're born, what's your childhood like. Take us in the beginning of time, as far as you remember. What are your first childhood memories from?
Oh, that's interesting, because I've been talking with my own children that I can't remember that long, or when I was my early childhood. But anyway, I was born in Oulu, Uleåborg, quite in northern part of Finland, and I was about 4 or 5 years old when we moved to Seinäjoki, and that's where I think I'm originally from. So I grew up there, and this is like a part of the personality and what I learned of what I am, and it's part of like a joking, but it's also like keeping your word and making things happen and having like a strong, independent woman kind of thinking. So that's where that comes from. When I was younger, I was very into animals. I've always liked animals. So I was just living and playing a lot in forests and keeping like a bug hospitals and all sorts of that. And I had a dog and I was playing with that in the forests. Later, I was riding and doing sports a lot. And I had a tiny motorcycle, and we had a good group of people when we were teenagers. There was like a couple of us girls and most of boys, and we were just like riding to places and doing all kind of sports and nice stuff there. Anyway, I moved to Helsinki 25 years ago to study. I didn't study straight away what I really learned I wanted.
What was it? What I saw that we have many connection points, and one of them is that you studied at Haaga-Helia. Yes. Was that what you wanted? Because I had the chance to teach at Haaga-Helia and complete also my teacher qualification there. So you've studied tourism. You come from the tourism management program. Yeah. So yes. Was that what was your initial goal when you moved from northern Finland to the south of the capital area? What was the goal?
Before I moved, I was studying arts, and my plan was to do something creative, but that didn't turn out to be well. I started to art graphics, and I studied hairdressing, but that wasn't my thing. And then I found out that, hey, restaurant and tourism industry, because I was working for the summer in the local hotel. So that's when I realized that this is what I like, and this customer service and business is my thing.
Poland.
Yes, but I didn't have a degree, and at the time you needed to have the similar level of education, like a similar field, before you were able to apply to polytechnics. And I had the hairdressing and arts, so I wasn't able to apply in. So I had like a year and a half before the next season began So I did a lot of work and finished my tourism degree in 1 year. And then I finished that in January, and the
Mm.
next point application began at February. So my plan was to finish before that, so I was able to apply to get into Helsinki in Haga. That was Haga Institute at the time.
Right, at that time, yeah.
And I started my studies in next August. So that's how I ended up in here. And yes, I finished my bachelor in Haga, and later on I was studying in Haga Helia
Right.
more.
But you were living in Helsinki at that time, right?
I
When
was,
was the transition? Now you're living in the south of the north part of Espoo, which is,
yeah,
I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, a little bit. There's lots of developments that need to take
yeah,
part still there in this part of Espoo, because Espoo. Tell us some facts about Espoo, and tell us then about your neighborhood, the hoods and the forests and the
yeah.
areas you are there familiar with. What issues you have identified as a woman, as a professional,
Mhm.
as a mother, uh, as a normal citizen and resident. Tell us a little bit about Espoo, moving here first, and then specifically having your family there in the northern
Yeah.
part of our city.
I was happy to live in Helsinki while I was like a young adult and studying and working. But when I was having my first child, she's turning to be 17 soon, obviously we needed a lot more space. And at the time, the amount of money what we have afford to buy our next house or home, so we needed to look further. And because we were living in this part of Helsinki, this coming straight down from northern part of Espoo, that was quite easy to have a look a bit north and further away what we afford. So we found an old house. Just opposite, there's a natural reserve park just starting literally where the house ends.
Mhm.
So we bought that, but it took some time before we were able to rebuild it because there was a lot of license and premises and development going on. But anyway, in the end, we did an extreme house makeover. The house was about 70 square meters when we bought it. And when we sold it, it was 323 square
Oh,
meters and
do you
completely
have a
new.
handyman at home?
No, I am a handy woman nowadays.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
but
you
anyway,
made
yes,
the
we did that.
renovation, but you made the renovation by yourself, or guess you have
No, no,
a
no.
crew?
Just my previous husband. Yeah, my
Right,
ex-husband. We did that.
right.
Anyway, that was an quite big thing, and having two more children at the time, studying more, and just starting to develop with my career. And when we moved here about 15, 16 years ago, this was like a proper village, not like capital area, but like a tinier city and a village. A lot of families with the small children. So when I learned to know these people as a woman, we connected very well. We have like a community. We still are a very tight community. And we started to think that what can we do to make this community work better and do better? We were doing a lot of things with ourselves, organizing for young children and women who are at home. There wasn't that much things to do. You needed a car. There's only, if you go to the bus, you can have two buggies at the time. So we weren't able to do that much going outside because of all these limits. Everybody didn't have a car and put
Mm,
all the child sheets in the car, for example.
mm.
So we did a lot of work in here. And yeah, that was like a starting of why I'm now being as a candidate as well, how to use and work and be part of the community and making it more alive and things to happen.
And you're not a professional politician. You don't see politics as a profession, and I think this is something common between both of us as
Mm.
well. I'm not a professional politician. I don't invest my own money in my campaign. No one's money, to be honest. I
Mhm.
don't know how big was your campaign monetarily.
Small, just my money.
Yeah, because people are seeing it as really a job, and I think
Mm.
I like when you say that you see it for the benefit of your community, and that's
Yes.
my value as well. This is our living space, and if nobody bothers, things would never improve. Like good people
Yes.
don't get involved in politics, then they end up others take their decisions for them. So, but from the professional side,
Mhm.
you spoke about being a homeowner there in Northern Espoo, being a mother, and so on. You're a qualified teacher in
Mhm.
Finland. Tell us a little bit about the work that you're doing. What your current occupation is, from that point of view. So,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about your professional career at the moment.
I've been working with the vocational education about 20 years, and about 10 years or so, actually 11 years. I was teaching in tourism and restaurant industry. I was doing a lot of like connecting foods and wine and business management and customer service and all that sorts of things. And later on, I was able to change my points of working to do a lot better and deeper work with the employees and education center. So 2016, I was part of the establishing in Helsinki, like a sort of a function where we would do a lot more tighter connection with the vocational education and companies who need staff, so we know exactly where the education should go and what the situation with the companies are. And I was also working with the economic department and employment department in Helsinki to understand how the circle goes. And it was kind of a COVID at the time what changed my current work at the time. And the restaurant industry was going down a lot. I was working a lot with another fields as well, but the work changed a lot. And then I was changing not the career, but I was changing the education center where I was working. And after that one, I've been working mainly behind developing like processes. And now at the time, I'm working as a development manager and all the pedagogical processes and where we are pushing our education, what kind of system, what there is in the future. So I'm one of them pushing the system towards where the future is.
Where do you work at the moment?
It's called Live. It's not live, but Live-säätiö. So it's vocational education special needs organization based in Espoo, but it's working all the way in the Finland.
Right. Mm-hmm. And you've seen before, the viewers, Petra Morbin.fi, Petra's website. Find out more information in Finnish mainly, and then some summary in English and in Swedish as well. Are you, Petra, a Swedish-speaking Finn, or are you a Finnish-speaking Finn?
I'm Finnish Finn, and yes, no. I'm not.
How about your surname? I was just wondering.
Yes, it comes from my previous marriage.
All right. So, is it you said you write there on your website that your daughters have dual citizenship? They're both they have a whole
Finnish
and British. Yeah.
Yes.
So how about then the so you understand the challenges between amongst intercultural families, multilingual, multicultural. Is this because many of my viewers, as I'm a foreigner myself in Finland, Greek originally, 20 years here, and so on. The international community in Espoo, we have 75,000 internationals. However, in the Espoo City Council, which has 75 people, there's very limited representation of the international community. If you scroll down the names and you see who sits on the council, the international community is not represented. First of all, people might not even know that they have the right to vote, not to mention get elected. So you're a mother of children who are 3 children, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Are, of course, bicultural, bilingual, and so on. Do you have some themes that they're important from your point of view in relation to the international community of Espoo? What would you like to say to the people watching us who come from this community, who came to Espoo to study? Maybe they're highly educated educated, they have masters and PhDs. They left their countries half a planet away, even some of them, and then they end up being unemployed or not given opportunity. So do you have, because you're also in adult education, so tell us from your perspective as an educator, how do you see the international community, employability and integration?
This started to be part of my work at least maybe 15 years ago, when I had my first group, a class of students. I had 16 cultural represented in one class. And we had a conversation that, why did you move to Finland? What you're waiting and what your background is and expectations, where you want to go. And that opened my eyes. We're talking about more like immigrants, that they are like one very similar group of people that's very various. And we have, like you said, we have master levels educators who's had very brilliant backgrounds. And then we have those who can't read or study. We have everything in between. And maybe we're facing the problem that we maybe realize too late in Finnish general, that our system to understand what knowledge you have and how to understand and how to change that to work, we are quite like late to awaken to understand what that really is. Because I remember I had, for example, one woman who moved to Finland following her husband, who was working in a very big international company, high-level position. This woman had master level, I can't remember exactly what that was, but she was managing and owning like a lot of children, like a daycare company, like directed, like understanding the business completely, understanding child and healthcare very strongly. And she was doing the basics to be able to be assistant working for the kindergarten. And I was so shocked at the time that how can this be happening? But it was 15 years ago, and it still is. And I can't understand why our system is so unable to understand the other countries, because we have this AFQ system to understand where that goes. And we had a lot of work with it. And later on, when I was working in Espoo Omnia, and when the war in Ukraine started, my team and I was leading it, we needed to quite quickly take care of the Ukrainians who were coming and trying to help them and trying to find the language wisely and understand the background education or what we have to offer. And we were quite fast able to do very good teamwork with City of Espoo and all the customer service, and making a process to understand that this is what, no matter where you start from, you're like asking what I do further. We know immediately, we don't not tell, hey, this is the wrong office to call there. And the main idea was the teamwork, understanding each other. And I was surprised that wasn't done before in that level. This kind of forced us to do more tighter work, but it surprised me that simple thing why that wasn't done before.
Petra, and you understand now, as a Finnish woman from the north, and I must say that I have been myself first in Finland in north, in Rovaniemi. I came as
brilliant.
a student from the University of, I come from North Greece myself. We have snow in my city and -10 and so on. So I came from the University of Athens, where I was studying with a scholarship with the Erasmus program to Rovaniemi. And of course, I visited the city of Oulu, very big student city as well. So you came with your common sense, the maalaisjärki, as we say in Finland. So sometimes that's why you need really people from the grassroots level to tell the obvious. But somehow this obvious, it's not so obvious. So I think it's important to have people who really have personal, real life experience. They bring their unfiltered opinion, that it's not through a political ideology, if you like, but it's more like you want to make things work. You want to make things work. You want to add value. You want to help people solve problems.
Exactly.
This is the good attitude, and I think we need people like this. And I think we're both women who are hands-on, pulling the sleeves up and fixing the things, not just talking. Of course, theory is great. You need to have background and understanding the problem, as you said, but then you have to go and fix the problem, not too much discutera and
Mm.
going with actions. And I'm happy to hear you say that. Tell us a little bit about those Ukrainians that you mentioned. What is the fate of them nowadays? Have they been able? Do you have any success, any information, any data, any statistics? How many of them are here? How many have succeeded, integrated, found jobs? Are they living happily here? Have they gone somewhere else? Because many times, and there's a lot to unpack, but I'm sure you put them in an order. Sometimes when it comes to the educational system, I myself an educator in Finland, a qualified teacher, as you in adult education and in vocational education. So many times foreigners are brought to Finland for various reasons, of course, but then they're educated here. And then Finland is not able to retain that international talent. This is a big challenge. So we're educating people, and then we don't give them work opportunities. So they go pay their taxes elsewhere. They contribute to other societies. So how do we tackle this problem? This is a well-known phenomenon.
There's actually 2 or 3 points what comes to my mind first. The first one, you said that we need to make things happen. I've noticed that it's quite easy to start to do thinking that the issues and problems are bigger than they actually are. Like, for example, this service, the way how we serve people, we are thinking this department is doing that and they are doing that. But in the end, it's just a bit more extra effort to start connecting people that, hey, what can we do to make sure that our connection and people who are getting service from you and they need to be like working with us or coming with us, how do we make it to be very easy? How do you know what kind of people to guide to be our way? So it's communicated. It's not even that big of a political work. It's like understanding that, hey, just open up your eyes that who we need to be working with to be able to make things smooth. And this is sometimes that people hide behind invisible curtains that this is not working and explaining it. Just like take the phone and just making a meeting and ask that how can we solve this problem? It doesn't need to be coming from the bigger bigger founding of money or anything. Sometimes it's quite simple. Increase knowledge, man. Make people to know and learn about their jobs.
Connecting the dots, being able to use your network, your common sense. As you said, pick up the phone. I appreciate, again, you saying that. I could totally agree and second that as well, that actions, being innovative, thinking, who do I know, who can help, let's solve this together. Sometimes people might feel that, oh, that's a daunting task, or it's too big, but things could be so simple as long as somebody took the initiative and bothered to care and ask the right questions. People sometimes, I feel that they're afraid to ask even the question like, why is this done like this, or how about we do that? So I think we should also, as citizens, have this possibility in a country like Finland, right? In a democratic country, if you don't practice here and voice your opinion, where else you're going to do it?
Yes.
So encouraging people really to voice their opinions.
One of the guidelines what I have in my mind, I'm always asking myself, what can I do for this? What is in my power? No matter where I'm just like a ordinary worker or managing something or just creating something or just like in my community, what can I do to make this better? And not just explaining why I can't do and waiting somebody else to do it, not even telling that this is an issue or problem. And that has given me a lot of good openings, and many of what I can say for my career that what has gone very well, it's always been a tiny bit of extra effort and not even that much, but like thinking, what can I do to help this to go better? And suddenly there's a lot what I can do. Not maybe change the whole world, but change fixing someone's world or making someone's world even to be easier at work or just going more smoothly if they just move to Finland, what kind of services that they are getting and where to get them help. And like more spreading the good and help than rather explaining why I can't do. And this is what we do way too often.
Petra, my previous guest, Maximilian Leroux, who you might know, we all three are candidates, and this is just my LinkedIn connections, nothing political here, but I want to introduce, and of course now with the upcoming municipal and regional elections, it makes sense to, I want to get to know my fellow candidates as well and colleagues. But Maximilian had a question for you. So he asked, please share with our listeners and viewers, when was a time in your life where you felt the happiest?
Happiest? Oh, sometimes I can't just put like, for of course, my children, but like who is the happiest. But the good thing, like the big thing, what I can say, 2021/22, I built my own house. There was a lot of difficulties in that time to face, not besides the COVID, but we had health issues. I was working. I was a single mama, and I was thinking that we need a place to live. So I built my own house. And when we just moved in here with my girls, getting everything as we wanted, so that was kind of a like, damn girls, we did it just with the like girl power, and just we did it. We did that on undering the budget. The building the house is normally like going above your budget. We went lower without the budget. We got what we wanted. We have a nice place to stay. We got that like very tight schedule, and we were able to do it. So that was because it without my girls also being part of it, that was like a common success story. So maybe this is something I could share.
Excellent. Great accomplishment. Of course, it brings you this peace of mind, and now we have our own space. It's exactly what we wanted, and we are safe and happy, and this is our own little world here. So great. Petra, how about my next guest? Would you like to ask them a question? What is one question when you're talking to your adult students or your colleagues or a person you just met? Is there one question you like to ask them that tells you so much information about them that you really get a glimpse into their soul and what kind of person are they? Of course, people, we're multi-talented and diverse and we have lots of things to say. It's not from one answer, but sometimes if you ask the right questions, you might get more insights. Do you have such a question in mind? And please address it to my next guest.
Okay. Even though I don't have any idea who your next guest will be, but when was the last time you did and what very unselfishly? What was the last and what very unselfish act?
So an unselfish act. If I may I answer to this question, I'm inspired by your question.
Okay, thank you.
I must say, because I've written about it and I used this word selfless act. So the most selfless act I've done is breastfeeding my son with natural weaning about 6 years, 5 years and 10 months. We stopped when he was ready to stop. I think that as a woman, as a mother, that's the most selfless act. But very good question. I will ask it to my next guest. They can approach it from either personal perspective or professional. I would like to thank you, Petra Morbin.
Thank you very much.
Check out more about Petra at petramorbin.fi. Here is her website, petramorbin.fi, and find out more about her and in English and på svenska as well. So here is Petra, and what a pleasure to have her today, a lady from Espoo here, representing the northern part of Espoo, and helping her community there and all the Espoo municipality in general. Thank you so much, Petra.
Thank you. This was a pleasure.
Thank you for your insights. Happy to meet you, and I look forward to meet you in person as well.
I would think we will quite
Well,
soon in the what you call those tents.
yes. And somewhere here around Espoo, so maybe in a forest or in Nuxio or national park or somewhere. Thank you so much. Have a nice rest of the day. And everybody, thank you for tuning in. This was Connections Unplugged from LinkedIn to Live. Now we are connected with Petra on LinkedIn, but now we've met. And then the next step is we meet in real life in person. So if you'd love to join me here for to be featured on the show, and I get to ask you whatever I want to ask you and get down to the bottom of your essence and your soul, feel free to drop me a message on LinkedIn. I'd love to have you on the show. This is Unplugged, Unscripted. Hopefully you have a chance to get to know my guest and enjoy this little episode. And I will see you next Wednesday at 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in and listening. And kisses from me. Bye. Thank you.